We've had swift denials from almost all the extremist groups that carry any kind of Palestinian cause behind them, starting with the PLO chairman Yasser Arafat, but also from groups like Hamas and Islamic Jihad. We've had letters of condolence and announcements of condolences and sympathies coming from almost all the states around the Arab world, from Iran and Syria, as well as the more closely linked states to the United States, such as Egypt and the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia and so on. So that, as far as the official answer is concerned from the governments in the different states here, is the unified response. None of us did this to your cities. However, the Americans are well aware, as is Israeli intelligence, as is the speculation of almost every terrorist expert now up and down the globe, that this has the stamp of the Middle East on it somewhere, that suicide pilots inside hijacked planes, soft targets attacking civilians at their place of work unsuspecting, these are all the hallmarks of a terrorism, of a kind of warfare that has bred and was seeded here in the Middle East back in the 60s. So this is where they'll be looking. And of course the name of Osama bin Laden has come up as well. We're hearing that the government, the Taliban government in Kabul, has said it is considering an extradition possibility to take Osama bin Laden out of Afghanistan and ship him perhaps to the United States. They're only considering it. It's unlikely. He's well embedded in the political structure there. But of course, Kabul, very mindful of George W. Bush's threat that any country seen to give sanction to this terrorist act, any country or state seen to harbour the individuals involved in this attack will be held as responsible as the individuals themselves. So there's a lot of nervousness around in the Arab states now in case a very vague finger should be pointed at them and judgments made before a true investigation has been carried out. And
you can understand why, can't you? In fact, as you said, the Taliban also came out very early and said that they thought Osama bin Laden had nothing to do with it. And we're hearing that the Taliban movement is saying today that it's premature to talk about extraditing the Saudi dissident Osama bin Laden.
Yes, I mean, I think that the Taliban don't really, or haven't had up until now. This is an extradition argument that goes way before this attack. For the past 3 or 4 years, not only the Americans, but the United Nations as well have been asking to be able to have the freedom to have a face-to-face chat with Osama bin Laden, and that would have involved some kind of extradition, which up until now, of course, has been thrown out of hand by the Taliban. But they are aware that America is very clearly on the warpath, and whatever George W. Bush's lack of experience in foreign policy, he is being taken very seriously around the world at the moment, that he will, whatever happens, carry out his threat to strike back and strike back harshly. Now, America has a history of trying this in the past, way back Ronald Reagan launching strikes against Libya, also Bill Clinton sending cruise missiles into Sudan and Afghanistan from aircraft carriers as a result of the bombings of the 2 embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. The intellectual side, the analytical side of the Middle East in intelligentsia here have written long and hard about both those attacks and said that they've been followed by a reanalysis which says the Americans may have been premature in their assumptions.
Andrew, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That the attacks also may have been ineffective.
Andrew, sorry to interrupt. Let's get to a news briefing brought to us by our colleagues at Fox News.
Queens, those hospitals received 42 additional patients, including 20 who were brought by barge over to St. Vincent, Staten Island. One of those individuals died at St. Vincent, Staten Island. Our paramedics were at the scene throughout the day yesterday. As you saw and continue to see, we are ready for what we hope will be additional survivors today. We are the closest trauma center, and thus if there are any miraculous recoveries from the wreckage, they will most likely be brought here. I'm going to ask Dr. Westphal to talk to you a bit about our paramedics and the work that they did, our ambulances, and the work that's happened in the trauma center, and then we'll take questions.
That will be forever etched on the national consciousness of America. An amazing image caught by a cameraman on the street below the World Trade Center. An act of war aimed at the symbol of a nation's power and wealth. And far, far worse was to come. Minutes later, loaded with 48 tons of jet fuel, the second hijacked 767, now more a missile than a commercial airliner with 92 people on board, vaporized as it struck the South Tower. The terrorist audience now guaranteed, as millions around the world watched in utter disbelief. Those in offices above the point of impact were trapped, many jumping to their deaths as they tried to escape the flames. The fireball that swept through the upper floors of the Twin Towers had fatally weakened both structures. At exactly 10:07, 1 hour and 22 seconds after the first aircraft struck the building, the South Tower, its girders melting in the heat, slowly collapsed in upon itself.
Go, go, go!
10 minutes later, the North Tower went down, burying more than 300 firefighters beneath the avalanche of masonry, glass and steel.
Let's go, guys, let's go. Right here, right here. Just stay right here. Let's go. Here it comes. Move it down, let's go.
A wave of dust and rubble sweeping through the canyons of the city as office workers ran for their lives.
Move it! Come on! What's happening? What's happening?
An amateur cameraman captured the scenes at the very base of the tower as the debris hit the street.
I hope I live. I hope I live. It's coming down on me. Here it comes. I'm getting behind a car.
This was the scene of